Well, we had to double up our homework this last week because we decided to move our days, and with that, it is now time to turn our attention to the current show that we are watching, and that is Slow Horses, episodes 4 and 5. John, why don't you take us in?
Oh my gosh. So we start right where we left off with the agent found decapitated. And as we realize that the complete op has gotten butchered, we find out that that was pretty much the entire intention of sending Slow Horses, the Slough House team, down there. So we start, and through episode 5, it's just a continued progression of the Slough Horses group trying to get together and do like the main job, which is find the missing student, but then at the same time have a secondary, more important job of trying to clear their name. And man, was it exciting the whole time. Like, this show really picked up from 3 into 4 and then 4 into 5. I am just tired of it ending and making me wait a week. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, look, episode 5 is named Fiasco, and you couldn't have come up with a better name for the craziness that they're up to now. I mean, it's quite clear that Slough House is assigned to stuff when they're going to need somebody to blame if everything goes sideways. And, I mean, things went sideways in episode 4 quite efficiently. So, I think we're starting to see kind of that they're there to be the excuse if they ever need one. The question is, like, why would they pick this specific group to do that unless the intention is they get to blame them but still keep them around, kind of thing. Like, they are the whipping horse, for lack of a better term, or the horse that you flog even after it's dead, kind of thing, is the only excuse I can find out for why they would keep them around at this point.
Yeah, I definitely got the vibe, though, that they aren't meant to be that. Like, it really feels like this second desk lady is trying to prove her ability. I think she's making a gun for either first desk or, like, head of the service. And, like, that's why she orchestrated this whole thing. And then even though she thought she had it in the bag, I feel like this is her arrogance catching up to her. And because Slough House exists, she's using it to her advantage, which is why she's put the group together that she's put together. Like, she's the one dumping them in. Like, she doesn't have to save any of them technically, but she also can't trust that they can be out on their own. So, like, yeah, that's what she created this house for. And not just her, it seems like this group is universally known as the reject spot. But at the same time, she seems to be the one that's like, oh, I have to find a scapegoat. But she wasn't prepared at all. Yeah. Because, like, we're watching her reel. Like, all through episode 5, she is just walking herself into a bigger hole.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It seems like they weren't meant to be entirely a Suicide Squad, but that's what they're being made out to be.
Yeah, they're definitely, like I said, I think in our last broadcast, they are pretty much. It's interesting that they're basically using the elements of certain theories, like with using the fact that MI5 actually did create a false flag situation, and that's what she's trying to use to make herself look like the hero. And it's almost like they're basically just saying out loud, like, oh, look at that, guys. Government intelligence agencies use people. Oh, who would have thought? Several people have apparently thought. So it's interesting that they're just telling the story and they're being straightforward. I do like it is doing a good job of keeping me guessing. I really liked Gary Oldman's demotivational speech. I thought that was the delivery on that was so. It was not only so perfect, but it was the fact that Cartwright follows up and says, "So that's how you're trying to motivate us, right?" And he goes, "I honestly don't give a shit about any of you." It's just like trying to keep the persona alive but I'm starting to see why. The way that he was dealing with, I forgot the character's name off the top of my head. The way he's dealing with the MI5 lady is like he feels he's in a position of power still. And he was, and that's especially what we saw in the latest episode, which I just happened to watch today. And it's like they're playing, they're fighting, they're bickering back and forth with each other over how they're gonna resolve this situation. Whereas she's like, "Oh, I've got you dead to rights," and he's like, "Well, no, we're kind of in a mutually assured destruction situation here." And then the whole story with the kidnapping and how that's progressed, and that's just gotten crazier and crazier. I mean, I also got to hand it to him that joke, while funny, but was also very true. When he says there's 1.8 billion Muslims in the world, you're gonna need a bigger van. I was like, it's a good one. That was funny. But and then of course, he took advantage of that to take control of the situation. I thought that was actually, I did not see that. I didn't see it coming, and then I didn't see the credits roll coming either. I was quite taken back by the pacing of this episode. Was very good. It was very straightforward and to the point this time. It didn't feel like, I think we definitely shifted out of the slow burn. We kind of have an idea of who these guys are, and now it's like, okay, I'm wondering if they're actually going to go with a very clumsy ending for this. And it makes me even more intrigued to read the book, because I'm curious to see how much closer the book is to this show. Are they going to go so far as to actually make it so that by the end of this they still hate each other and that there is no team coming together moment? I mean, I don't know.
Part of me wants that ending, though. Part of me wants the ending where they're like, you know what, we work well as a team, but I don't want to hang out with any of you. Like, we're not going to get drinks at the end of the day. We're all going to just go home, right?
Yeah, I definitely want this to become the live-action Archer style office relationship. That would be hilarious. But with all of the spyness, like, they're still doing spy things and like making moves, but just that kind of banter would be fun.
Well, and that's kind of what it feels like a little bit. Now that you mention it, it's kind of like a darker Archer in a lot of ways. Less emphasis on the ridiculousness and the silliness, more emphasis on the real. But we see like Gary Oldman's character, he just, what is his motivation at this point? Because one minute I think he does care about him, but then he does something like not only a motivational speech, but then follows it up with, "No, I really don't care." And it's like, you still don't understand what Lamb's goals are. And that's actually pretty good, because that leaves us guessing, like, oh, he's actually just the angry old guy who's been through a whole lot, which is probably true, but he may also very well be that angry old guy that does not come around. That does happen in life, where you have something, you have a moment with somebody that you think you're going to get along with, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, we're buddies now, right?" And he's like, "Piss off." And so, I don't know. And that's what I'm enjoying about this show, is it's taken turns and it's gone to extremes that I did not see coming. And I was very happy for that fact. It's an entertaining show. It's very well paced at this point. I think, once you can get through the first couple episodes, it really takes off after episode 3. And 4 was a little bit more exposition heavy, but man, 5 came in swinging, so.
Well, I think you needed 4 to make 5 make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I felt like it's more just the pacing in general is very clearly picking up. Like, the first couple episodes felt like it was lashing over like a week events, and the last 2, 4 and 5, have been over the last like 5 hours, if that. And I think that's like really fun, and also kind of brings back that like 24 vibe with Jack Bauer doing his thing. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting as far as just the pacing of this show. Like, I feel like it's only going to ramp up and get worse for a time before it ends on a the spies saved the day and nobody knows they did kind of note.
Yeah, I'm still kind of hoping for it. They wind up saving the day purely by accident. So nobody can really take credit for it, but the day is saved. And they've just kind of be, like the glory hogs in the unit have no way of getting anything out of this, and they kind of throw their hands up like, yeah, we saved the day, whatever, and go back to brooding and being annoyed.
Yeah,
and they're gonna do it in such a way that they don't earn any passage up.
Exactly.
Like, it just kind of hardens their position at Slough House.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like one of those. Oh yeah, we saved the day and we're not going to jail, but we're still in Slough House, and that's I definitely could see that being the end result. And what I like about that too is even theorizing that it doesn't even necessarily ruin the ending, because we still don't know how this is going to end.
Right.
Oh, no.
I just thought of the funniest thing that could be Gary Oldman's speech at the very end. This is why we don't work. Go to your desk and sit there until 5:30 and go home.
Yeah. Credits roll, season over. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That could definitely see that. Just kind of like that, that scene from Avengers where they're all, sitting around the table eating, looking at each other, and Gary Oldman just says a line like, "I told you guys not to work," and then that's the show right there. Oh man, that would be, that could definitely happen, or something like that. It's like I said, the show's growing on me. Some of the characters are growing on me. I think the more timid agent who's already willing to sell out Lamb, he's probably going to be one of those that is, as Carrie-Owen says, is like, we work together, but that's it. We're not going out for beers. Just because us in the division are friends doesn't mean everybody's friends. And I mean that's very true to real life, and that happens. And it sucks being left out, but at the same time, you really don't want to try and hang out with people who don't want to hang out with you anyway. I've had to learn that one the hard way, and I'm now content to just live my life happily with whatever friends want to be around me, and those who don't, okay. So I'm not hurt by it. I get it. I'm an acquired taste for like 2 people in the entire world, and that's fine. Oh wait, you guys too, so that's like 2.5.
Well, in theory, your wife as well, but
Oh yeah. Yeah, God have mercy on her soul for putting up with me. Otherwise, any final thoughts for Slow Horses? I mean, I know we're kind of breezing through it a little bit, but I have a feeling our next segment is probably going to be taking up the bulk of our time tonight.
Yeah, for sure. As for Slow Horses and Slough House, I'm just excited to keep seeing where this is going. Like, I feel like it's a very, like, every episode ends, not necessarily on a cliffhanger, but definitely leaving me wanting more. And that's what I'm really starting to notice about Apple. Like, I feel like they caught onto the binge formula and then just put it on that week-to-week basis, because whether you can or can't binge it, you're going to want to watch it.
Yeah.
And keep watching.
And I'll follow up too. You make an interesting point referencing 24. 24 is actually one of the shows that contributed to our current this style of storytelling, this continuous every granted that was more extreme and zeroed in on every hour of the day, but that's the type of that's where we're at now though. Like, we have shows that are serialized more and more in depth. Like, you can't really watch a show without watching the whole show. And I think it works for a lot of the formula. I do think though there is a place for the half serialized, half episodic. That's kind of what Star Trek Deep Space Nine was. And I think it would be nice to kind of be able to get back to that, because what I like about DS9 is that I can reference a couple of episodes that are standalone and you can go watch them, and you don't necessarily have to commit to the whole series right away. I mean, eventually you might, because it's good. However, it is nice and refreshing to have a show that's like, because I've been thinking about it a lot lately as shows become more serialized, and they're basically like 10-hour movies now. And I'm going, I kind of miss the simplicity of picking a show to watch and being able to not worry about whether or not I have to commit to the rest of it. And so with shows like this and with Severance, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll probably watch them again years later, but they're not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to see what's on the television. It's like, oh, wow, Slow Horses, Severance, 24, these are great shows. If I need to be laid up in bed for a long period of time, but don't get me wrong, and don't misunderstand. It's good to have them. I'm not saying they're bad, and I'm not saying it's wrong to do this type of storytelling. I just think it's going to get to a point where we may see a shift back towards more episodic storytelling, and I kind of would like it for the variety, too. So then I could feel like, okay, I'm enjoying a show not just because it's on and it's the trending thing, but I can also decide to pace myself when I want. That's why me personally, and this only applies to myself, I don't binge watch often, if ever, for the simple fact that I like to enjoy the ride, which is why I'm glad we do that, which is the whole reason we do this show, so we can enjoy the ride and talk about it. But
Yeah, when I'm watching a show, it depends on what I'm watching it for. If I'm watching it for fun, I'll just watch the show, like maybe an episode or two, and then I'll take a break. I'll go do something. I'll watch another episode or whatever. When I'm watching a show critically, I have to like rewatch the episode like 2 or 3 times and take notes and see what I missed throughout and really pay attention to detail. So for me, if I'm watching something like this, it's a lot harder to watch a serialized story where you have to go back and watch the same episode 2 or 3 times for that binge model. But if I'm casually watching, I don't mind a binge model occasionally. I've learned that if I limit myself to like 2 or 3 episodes a night and spread it out personally, as opposed to like, hey, if Amazon, say for example, were to drop all of the Expanse season in one shot, I'm not going to sit down and watch the whole thing in one day. I'm going to watch 2 or 3 episodes a day and space it out. If only for my own personal enjoyment so that I can appreciate the nuance. When I'm watching something critically, though, like I said, I have to watch it 2 or 3 times, and that's just impossible to binge for me then.
yeah, I have to agree with that, because yeah, when you're trying to put a critique, I mean, with shows that do that, I mean, we could definitely set up a formula for that and do that if, you know, well, I shouldn't say if, it's more of a when we get to a show that we decide to do that drops all the episodes at once. However, it's like, yeah, it seems like Netflix was doing something with that and started that trend, but I do like that other companies kind of caught on and were like, well, there was something special about being able to have water cooler talk, you know? And it wasn't all, 30 hours of these people's lives bombarded at you at once. It was spread out over time. You had a week to hit up the boys at the office or wherever you meet your friends to talk about stuff. I guess Twitter too. But we got to have conversations, and that's one of the motivations for this show, is so we can have these discussions just like that, so we can talk about it every week, and we can go, yeah, we like this happening, we think this is going to happen. It's all part of sharing the experience that I think was lost with binging. But that said, there are certain shows that do kind of need it. I think with the Daredevil formula, it worked well because that show took place over the course of like a couple of days, and so I don't know. I think there's something to be said for dripping it one episode a week, or maybe like 2 episodes a week if you really want to get the story out there fast. There's definitely ways to do it. But I think we've said all that we need to say on Slow Horses. It's time